Episode 9 is set to end the Skywalker saga and the sequel trilogy itself by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, one thing that a lot of people are really interested in when it comes to this movie is exactly how the characters of both Rey and Kylo Ren will be utilized in this film by, of course, J.J. Abrams. Now, we do know that Rey will be taken down a different path in this movie as well as Kylo Ren in the film. That to the point we're going to actually look at these characters in a different way in comparison to how they were used in both The Force Awakens and in The Last Jedi. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to various shot descriptions of concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very exciting and interesting for moments within the second and third acts of the film. Now, specifically, shot descriptions consisting of Kylo Ren on the ground, of a large battlefield where it's described that he is using the Force to take down a Resistance starship that is firing at the First Order headquarters. It's described that Kylo is able to take down a large ship flying at a low altitude and crashing it into the ground, causing it to explode. The next goes over a close-up of Kylo's eyes where it's described that the reflection of the fire can be seen. Another goes over Rey coming in on her speeder, where it said that she is passing a large First Order hover tank, that to the point where she ignites her lightsaber and scrapes the side of it as she rides on her speeder, causing the tank to malfunction. It's described that the First Order uses large tanks against the Resistance in the third act of the movie. The next describes Rey using the Force to take down a large antenna that is said to be sending out a signal for First Order reinforcements. The antenna is said to eventually collapse and fall on top of the First Order building, causing tons of rubble to slide down a mountain. Lastly, a description of Kylo and his Knights of Ren infiltrating the trenches where Kylo begins to strike down a number of Resistance fighters, where the Knights are said to plant explosives, taking out the invading forces of the Resistance. So I want to go over a couple of parts about all of this and as to why the third act of the movie really sounds like it's going to be one heck of an action-packed sequence by J.J. Abrams and Chris. Now, we do know that they plan to make this movie a mixture of both Revenge of the Sith and Return of the Jedi is the best way to explain the tone of the movie, and I think that's a great way to do things because we do know that Return of the Jedi, at least in my point of view, was a semi-dark Star Wars movie, where Revenge of the Sith was a very dark Star Wars film, right? So we do know that many parts of this film is going to be darker than that of Revenge of the Sith. This is mostly affiliated with the story of both Kylo and his Knights of Ren that will be explored in the film. So first things first, I want to go over Kylo Ren's amazing power in this sequence in which he's able to use the Force to the point where he's able to take down a large Resistance starfighter that is actually shooting at the First Order headquarters, where Kylo takes down the ship just by use of the Force and crashes it into the ground, where it's followed up by a sequence in which we do see the fire reflecting inside of his eyes. So what I like about this is that this is the definition of, basically J.J. Abrams turning Kylo Ren into an evil figure, into a much darker figure than Darth Vader ever was in the original trilogy, something that we never got to see Darth Vader do on film before, of course, in the Skywalker saga. Now, the other one of which that I do want to go over is this large antenna. Now, this antenna is actually said to be sending a signal out to First Order reinforcements. Now, in order to really gain the upper hand, it seems as though that Rey actually takes down the antenna and crashes it on top of part of the First Order headquarters, causing a lot of rubble to slide down a mountain, which creates a danger for both, of course, the First Order and the Resistance, causing them to retreat. Now, what's great about this whole entire sequence, guys, is that the scale of it all, right, sounds like something straight out of Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones, whatever have you. And that's one thing that they do know that the fans are actually going to like about this movie, is that the scale of the film in the third act is heavily inspired from Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. It's going to have a real medieval tone to it, mixed with World War II elements in the background. And that, I think, is going to be a very interesting spin on a Star Wars movie, and a very interesting tone indeed. I'm honestly hoping that we actually do get to see this final battle as probably one of the best battles in the Star Wars universe. Knights of Ren are actually taking out Resistance fighters, where Kylo Ren is actually slaughtering them one by one in the trenches, giving us a little bit of a callback to, of course, World War I. And World War I, by the way, is going to be yet another inspirational piece for the war pieces in Star Wars Episode 9. So look forward to seeing all these different tones, ranging from, of course, World War I, to Vietnam, and even medieval times, and of course stuff like that. So that's the thing about Episode 9, is that not only will it have two big space battles, it's going to have these amazing land battles and lightsaber duels between both Kylo Ren and Rey, as well as new villains in the film. So I think that this movie really does have the potential of being on par with, of course, Revenge of the Sith. I really do believe it will be our Episode 3 of our time, where it's going to be the best of the current trilogy. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon.